Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people.
Tucker Carlson just dropped a bombshell over a year after his breakup with Fox News. The American conservative political commentator was fired by the news channel after 15 years of service, where he gained so much fame and recognition for his work. Unfortunately, Fox News decided to cut all ties with the commentator last year, and it's believed that the main reason for their breakup was because he was getting too big for his boots. However, that's really not the case, as you'll soon find in today's video. Now, you'll be shocked, but when Tucker Carlson was fired by Fox News in April last year, he wasn't given any reason as to why he was being fired. The Fox News media CEO, Suzanne Scott, simply told him that day, "We're taking you off the air." This was obviously a massive blow for Carlson. He least expected that he was going to be fired in such a sudden fashion. After all, he was the highest-rated host across all of cable news, and he was suddenly sentenced to execution. It was like somebody cancelling Taylor Swift mid-tour or removing Stranger Things from Netflix before anyone could stream the ending. It made no sense. Even worse was that Carlson wasn't given a path to sign off and pretend that it was on his terms. But Scott did offer him one thing: the chance to include his own comment in the press release. For a moment, he thought about saying yes. Maybe he did want the breakup to sound mutually beneficial, but he quickly snapped out of that. He was being dumped, and he wanted everyone else to know it too. He hastily typed out a farewell email to his staff, known as the Tucker Troop, before his Fox email account was disabled. "I've never worked with better people in my life, and I don't expect I ever will," he wrote, adding, "I'm a little unclear on what's going on right now, but at this point, it looks unexpectedly bad." Soon, the news broke out in public, and the headline read, "Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways." Note that the word "agreed" here lacked any quote from the host. His production team was also not given a heads up, and they were not informed about him being fired. They therefore found out that Carlson was gone the same way as everyone else, through smartphone news alerts or texts from friends. And we all can agree that this is the worst way of getting fired. But the big question is, why was Tucker Carlson fired by Fox News? Was there a falling out between Fox and Carlson? Or was he really getting bigger than the network? Well, there are several factors that contributed to the defenestration of Carlson, which ranks among the biggest bombshells in cable news history, not only because of what his exit meant for Fox, but also what it meant for the Republican Party. Now, the surprising thing about the timing of Tucker Carlson's firing is that it came less than a week after Fox News agreed to pay $87.5 million to Dominion Voting Systems to settle a defamation lawsuit over false election claim. A lot of eyebrows were raised, and definitely questions about their transparency blew over the internet. After the election, several Fox News hosts and guests suggested, without evidence, that Dominion's machines were rigged or manipulated to shift votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden, contributing to Trump's loss. Now, the surprising thing here is that, according to reports, Carlson's role was relatively small. However, some of his texts that were uncovered in the discovery process for the suit made headlines which may have contributed to his breakup with Fox. You see, Dominion's $1.6 billion lawsuit argued that Fox News knowingly spread these false claims to retain its viewership. The company claimed that the network allowed these conspiracy theories to be broadcast, even when many within Fox privately doubted their legitimacy. Dominion's legal team asserted that Fox executives and hosts knew these allegations lacked credibility, but aired them anyway to placate their audience, which had grown increasingly supportive of Trump and skeptical of the election result. As part of the discovery process, Dominion obtained internal communications and private text messages from key Fox figures, including Tucker Carlson. Carlson was not a central figure in the on-air false claims about Dominion, but his private messages revealed during the lawsuit cast him in a complicated light. In the texts, Carlson was critical of the network's decision to promote these election fraud narratives and expressed disbelief in some of the claims being aired. He also criticized Fox leadership and fellow hosts for how the election coverage was being handled, at one point voicing concern that Fox was hurting its own credibility. One key message showed Carlson privately referring to Sidney Powell, a lawyer who was one of the leading proponents of the election fraud claims, as lying. This private skepticism stood in contrast to the network's public posture during much of its post-election coverage, contributing to an appearance of internal disarray at Fox News. Moreover, Carlson's private remarks about Donald Trump and Fox's leadership were unflattering, raising questions about his relationships within the organization. While Carlson wasn't the prime driver of the Dominion defamation, these revelations exposed internal tensions and the gap between what some Fox hosts were saying publicly and what they believed privately. His private messages, along with those from other Fox figures, contributed to a narrative that the network's leadership may have felt pressure to manage. Fox News eventually agreed to settle the lawsuit for $787.5 million just before the case was set to go to trial in April 2023. The settlement spared Fox from having to face a public trial where more internal documents and communications would likely have been scrutinized. Despite the settlement, Carlson's private texts became a focal point of public discussion and are widely believed to have contributed to growing tensions between him and the network's leadership. Shortly after the settlement, Carlson was unexpectedly fired. In a recent revelation, Carlson reportedly told his biographer that he believed that he was a sacrifice to settle the Dominion voting system lawsuit. According to The Guardian, Carlson told his biographer, Chadwick Moore, they agreed to take me off the air, my show off the air, as a condition of the Dominion settlement. He went on, they had to settle this. Rupert Murdoch couldn't testify. I think that deal was made minutes before the trial started. I mean, I know it was. Dominion also denies that Carlson was fired, a characterization he resists, saying he was merely taken off air. As part of the settlement of its defamation suit, Moore prints the company's denial, saying a Dominion attorney wanted to make clear personally that Dominion made no requests or demands whatsoever regarding Carlson's employment with Fox or his appearance or non-appearance on Fox News. While the lawsuit and Carlson's leaked texts could be a reason for his firing, there are other factors that contributed to his falling out with the network. Behind the scenes, Carlson was known to be a polarizing figure, both within the network and in the larger media landscape. His strong opinions on political and social issues often pushed boundaries, making him a highly influential but also controversial presence. Carlson was believed to have Trump-like hypnotic power over the Republican base. He was believed to be irreplaceable, but that impression was, in large part, a creation of Carlson's. In truth, Carlson had alienated so many people, instigated so many internal and external scandals, and fanned so many flames of ugliness that his firing was inevitable. After all, he'd been fired from CNN and MSNBC earlier in his career. That's why at Fox, he puffed out his chest and pretended to be immune to attack. His long relationship with career vulnerability caused him to foster an image of untouchability, and it worked so well that even after his exit, people are wondering why it happened. It's well known that Carlson feuded with the staff at Fox News. According to sources on the staff, Carlson badmouthed both women as well as his number one enemy within Fox News, the entrenched public relations boss, Irena Briganti, whom he once called a C-word. Carlson's internal critics, of whom there were many, viewed his treatment of the female executives as part and parcel with the misogyny displayed on his show. More than a dozen current and former Fox staffers exposed him, unprompted. Tucker is very titillated by misogyny, a host said. Carlson's departure from Fox News may have also been influenced by a lawsuit filed by Abby Grossberg, a former producer on his show. Grossberg accused Fox News and Carlson's team of fostering a toxic work environment where sexism and misogyny were pervasive. She alleged that her male colleagues made inappropriate comments about women and that there was a culture of gender discrimination on Carlson's show. Grossberg's lawsuit, filed in March 2023, came as a blow to Fox News, especially because she had worked closely with Carlson's team. She claimed that she had been subjected to a hostile work environment, and her lawsuit painted a troubling picture of the behind-the-scenes culture on one of Fox's most popular programs. Grossberg also accused the network of pressuring her into providing misleading testimony in the Dominion voting system's defamation case. Although Carlson himself wasn't directly accused of personal misconduct, the association of his show with these allegations likely created additional legal and reputational risks for Fox. This, combined with other mounting pressures, may have factored into the network's decision to cut ties with Carlson as it sought to mitigate the fallout from various legal challenges. After his exit from Fox, Carlson has been faring well. He is now quite active on X with his show. He also made a comeback on Fox News in July, 15 months after being fired. He has released a series of online interviews with figures popular in the conservative movement, including one with Trump that was posted to counter-program a debate between his GOP nomination opponents. His most newsworthy foray was a February interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin, who said later that he thought Carlson would behave more aggressively and ask so-called sharp questions. He has also made money through a series of speeches and recently completed a speaking tour of Australia. And the campaign for the presidential election also seems to be working well for Tucker, still giving those speeches that stir the crowd. The internet seems to be polarized on this though.
There has to be a point at which Dad comes home and he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's gonna have to let them know. He's gonna have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
What do you think? Well, that's it for today. Do you see Tucker Carlson making a comeback to Fox in the future? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.